Hey guys, how's it going? Laura with Garden Answer. I'm out in the vegetable garden today getting ready to harvest this garlic. It's always a really exciting day because you never really know what you're going to get because everything happens underneath the soil. So we did do a video about how to plant garlic and when to do that. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to learn a little bit more. But kind of in short, typically in our area, Zone 5, we plant garlic in the fall, so like right around September, October, and then we harvest sometime right around 4th of July. We are a few weeks ahead of time this year because we've had a really warm spring, so we're a couple weeks ahead, which is very, very different for us. But the garlic plant will typically tell you when it's ready to be harvested. So this is a bed full of Italian softneck, and I'll tell you the difference between softneck and hardneck here in a minute. But typically a garlic plant will start to brown on the tips and start to kind of turn over like that. You can also take a look at the bottom leaves, which is kind of what you want to do for hardneck varieties, because oftentimes hardneck varieties look really beautiful still, and I'll show you in another bed what my hardneck looks like. But if you take a look and keep your eye on the bottom leaves, you can see that once the bottom like 2 or 3 leaves start to brown and dry, that means your garlic is ready to be harvested, because the state of these bottom leaves is directly correlated to what the wrapper is like around your clove of, or your head of garlic. And you don't want it to dry out much past that, otherwise the storage life of your garlic goes way down. So to harvest garlic, it's super, super easy. In fact, I actually got in here a couple of days ago and dug up this one right here just to see if it was ready. And that's another way you can tell if it's ready, just by popping one out of the ground. Check that out. Look at how beautiful that head of garlic is. I'm hoping that I have a lot more that look just like this. So what I've got here is just a little garden trowel. You can use a garden fork, whatever you want. But when you get in there to dig around your garlic, you want to be a little bit away from the stem because you don't want to pierce or puncture your head of garlic. So you just kind of loosen up the soil. So we'll start on this one right here. We'll just kind of loosen up the soil around it. You don't want to pull it because you don't want to damage the head. That one's in there. So get it up out of the soil. Look at that. That one looks really great too. So it is a good idea, and this is something I didn't do, is to cut the water off maybe a few days before you're ready to harvest. It makes the harvest a lot cleaner. But today what we're gonna do is we're gonna dig all the garlic up, and I'll show you where I'm gonna set it to dry. And then we'll come back in a couple days and do another video for you guys on how to cure and store your garlic. So what I'm gonna do is just dig all of this up, take a look at it, show you guys what I've got, and then we'll move to the other bed where I've got my hardneck varieties. Guys, I got 58 heads of garlic out of just this one 3x6 raised bed in our garden space. I'm so pleased. Like, look at these heads of garlic. They're huge. Most of them are really good size. So this is going to be great. So I'm going to be saving back some of these to plant next year, but most of them I'm going to be utilizing in my cooking in the kitchen throughout this next year. So let's move over to the next bed where I'm going to be harvesting my hardneck varieties. All right, so here's my bed of hardneck varieties. This is also a 3x6 size raised bed. I have 3 different varieties growing here: Chesnock, Red Toke, and German Red. The main differences between softneck and hardneck: softneck varieties typically store longer, and they grow with a central stem surrounded by many different layers of cloves, as opposed to hardnecks, which have the central stem, but then they have just one layer of cloves around that stem. Softnecks are also easier to braid if that's how you like to store them, but hardneck varieties form scapes, which softneck varieties do not. This is what a scape is right here. It's essentially a flower stalk, which if you let it grow to maturity, it'll form like hundreds of garlic, little tiny bulbs that you can start, but it does take about 3 years to grow a full garlic head from one of those little bulbs. So most of the time you grow them to about this stage right here, maybe even a little younger than this. You can pop them off and you can saute them or pickle them. A lot of people like to make pesto out of them. So it looks like the first 2 rows, so on my Chesnock variety, I can harvest all the scapes off of these, but the other varieties, they're a little bit too far advanced. So I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest all of the garlic heads and just forego the scapes on that variety. Okay, so let me harvest all the scapes first, and then we'll get into the bed and see what we've got for heads of garlic. So I got 26 scapes from those 2 rows. They're really beautiful. I can't wait to try this out. So I've actually never cooked these myself. I've had them, I've eaten them before, but I've never prepared them in my own kitchen. So this is going to be exciting. So I'm gonna just set these aside and start digging. So I got 28 beautiful heads of chestnut garlic, and then I got 24 red toque and 7 German red. So now I'm gonna gather up all the garlic, take it behind the barn, and I'll show you where I'm gonna dry it for the next couple of days. So what I'm gonna do is lay out all the garlic on these pellets back here. These are in a spot that are out of direct sunlight. Some people will actually dig these up and lay them right where they dug them up in the garden and leave them for a couple of days to let them dry out. But it's supposed to get really, really hot here, so I decided that this would be the better route. Basically, we're just gonna let them dry for a couple of days and prep them for the curing process. So what I want to have happen is just to have all this excess soil that's still a little bit damp to dry up so I can clean it off. You don't want to run these underwater. You don't want to introduce any water in because that can cause mold problems. So we'll let them dry, and then I'll use like a soft brush or a soft rag, and I'll clean up the garlic heads. And we do want to leave the roots and the leaves still intact for this part because they are still drawing energy from it. So that's basically it for this step. We just want to let them sit out and dry for a couple of days. So we will come back and do a second video and show you guys how to cure and store your garlic. It's just really exciting for me. I love it when I have a successful harvest. There are 117 heads of garlic that we grew in just 2 3x6 beds. I think that's pretty good. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.